Hey guys, so back in 2021, Rome was remastered, and though it was met with some mixed reception, for me, the remaster has done a stellar job of ensuring the legacy of a great strategy game survives for years to come. Yes, it could be seen as a quick cash grab that mainly flopped as most players decided it wasn't worth the money, but all the work that Feral Interactive did for it definitely made Rome more accessible, more visually modern, way less buggy, more stable, and more importantly, it came with huge modding support, the kind of support CA should have done for all Total Wars throughout the series. 2 years after launch, Imperium Surrectum boasts a campaign of over 1,700 regions, with dozens of unique and vibrant factions, cultures on a completely custom-made beautiful campaign map that is far bigger than anything we've seen before. The modding potential is insane, and though some core problems with the game like unit pathfinding or AI behavior remains, in my opinion on a sale especially, it's definitely worth the money. To be perfectly honest though, while Rome was a great place to start remastering the series, where a remaster in Total War would truly shine is Medieval 2. In almost every way, it's a better game than Rome with a more in-depth unit recruitment and settlement management system that's got a much better mid-game with the Mongol and Timurid invasions, plus the late-game discovery of America and gunpowder warfare. Plus, it's got incredible expansion campaigns with the Crusades, the Teutonic Wars, the Britannic campaign, and the Americas. In fact, I think we all agree, yes, of course, a Medieval 3 Total War is a must-have, and I'm sure CA will make one down the line, but I have no doubt a Medieval 2 remaster would be amazing. It would modernize the graphics, which when you look at how they did that for Rome is truly a game changer. It would hopefully solve countless bugs and issues like the atrocious mountainside battle maps or pikemen simply not working at all. It would do it justice if done right. And most importantly, Medieval 2 is known not just for great vanilla gameplay, but for some of the best mods ever made in the series. Tsardom's Total War, Insularis Draco, Europa Barbarorum 2, Lord of the Rings mod, Divide and Conquer, the Lucium Total War mods, there are just so many out there, and to be honest, they are mostly just such a pain to install without a mod manager especially. It's just impossible to try and play them all when you want to without going through some massive hurdles. A Medieval 2 remaster, just like Rome, would make all of those problems go away with a mod manager with more stability, and of course would unlock huge amounts of modding potential that would make the greatest mods ever made reach their fullest potential. Imagine a Divide and Conquer campaign with hundreds of settlements, not just 106. Imagine the pike and shot warfare in Lucium Total War, but the entire globe. How amazing would that be? Imagine a Medieval 2 with modern camera controls that aren't jarringly painful to play with unless you have the free look camera mod, which is just so hard to install and run. Imagine better pathfinding and better AI, especially in the battles where AI is just always a bit on the underwhelming side. It just blobs up all the time. There's just so much that could make an already incredible game like Medieval 2 into truly something that could age with grace, that could be easily accessible while still holding up as one of the best Total Wars you can play today. Now, of course, Feral Interactive did make the mobile port for Medieval 2 and the Kingdom's expansions, which means they do have access to all the development tools and assets they need to make a remaster. Who knows, it might already be in the works since it only took them a couple of years after releasing Rome on mobile to then remaster it on PC and Mac. On the other hand, it could be that Rome Remastered flopping in sales could have steered Feral away from making any future Total War remasters. Again, who knows, they have technically said officially that there are no current plans to make one after all, but I think that would be a huge mistake. CA currently have their heads in the sand with Pharaoh, pun intended. They've got a major investment in Warhammer 3, which they're still milking as much as they can, and though I do know they have a new project up their sleeve, they have yet to reveal it. It's unclear when that might happen and when it would get released. The Total War player base is clamoring for a Medieval 3, and if they don't get it soon, I reckon they might be okay in the meantime playing a well-made Medieval 2 Remastered. And if it were to happen, there is one thing Feral would absolutely, unequivocally need to do for the release, and that is full modding capabilities. Many people forget this, but when Feral remastered Rome, all of the unlocked modding potential came about 6 to 8 months after launch, and by that time, most people had forgotten about the game or decided that based on the state it launched in was just not worth it even with the new modding potential. For Medieval 2 to be a proper remaster, it would need a solid UI, proper improvements to AI and pathfinding, and properly done modding capabilities with access to modders months prior to release. Rome suffered for a lack of any of this, so Medieval 2 would need to do much better. Now, just to be perfectly clear, a Medieval 3 Total War from CA has far more potential. Visually, it would be light years ahead. From a vanilla perspective, the campaign would be far bigger, far more factions, unique and fleshed out, and hopefully the battles would be better as well, one would think. Anyway, Medieval 3 is what the majority of the player base would like to see happen one day, and I imagine given a choice between a Medieval 3 or a Med 2 remaster, especially given how Rome was remastered, people would undoubtedly go for a Medieval 3. But for me, that doesn't take away from the fact that plenty of people still love Medieval 2. Just about 4,500 people, in fact, are still playing OG Medieval 2. And with everything it does so well for the amazing mods that it comes with, a remaster, if done justice, if done right, would go a long way to keep the game alive and attract newer players back to check out why it's one of the best all time in the series. Finally, yes, inflation yada yada, but I think one thing Rome Remastered didn't really get right is the balance between content and price. Rome Remastered had a good visual upgrade, it had a suite of bug fixes and better stability and better modding support, but I personally don't think £25 justifies that kind of content upgrade. For 15 or 20, maybe. A Medieval 2 remaster would likely have a similar asking price, if not more, and if that would be the case, Feral would have to do a serious amount of work to justify it. There would need to be better mod support, more toggleable options for the players, and frankly, what it should be really is an upgrade to the OG Medieval 2 you already own versus just buying the game essentially again for a higher price. Overall, I think there's absolutely more of a community desire for Medieval 3 Total War. I would personally love to see Medieval 3 happen, but if Feral were to make a Medieval 2 remaster at some point in the future, whether before or after a Medieval 3, I think if they did it right, it would be worth it. A remaster would ensure gamers everywhere can run the game on modern rigs. Feral would hopefully have learned from their launch of Rome and curated their changes and content to match what the player base would want to see, and with expanded modding capabilities, we would see some of the best mods in the series be better than ever. And that's essentially it for today, guys. I wanted to make a quick video to discuss my thoughts around a potential Medieval 2 remaster, why it could happen and why it may not, how Feral could do it justice, and how beneficial it would be for the OG game to continue its lifetime of great gameplay and creative modding support. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this though, so drop a comment below to let me know whether you would buy a well-made, decently priced Medieval 2 Total War Remastered, what sort of changes or additional content you would want to see in that, or whether you would just rather have a Medieval 3 and skip remasters altogether. I mean, if not Medieval 2, there's a big argument actually for Empire, of course, but then again, maybe an Empire 2 or a Victoria Total War would just be plain better as well. Either way, I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. Subscribe for more Total War content, gameplay, and news, and consider supporting me directly by becoming a member, signing up on Patreon, or buying me a coffee. Any and all support is greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.